To zoning board meeting. We will call the meeting to order, and Lori, can you read that, please?
In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-10, and the regulations governing meetings, NJAC 5:39-1.5, I hereby announce that adequate notice and electronic notice of this meeting was provided in the notice dated January 10, 2024, that was sent to the Asbury Park Press, Two River Times, posted on the bulletin board and on the main access door to Town Hall, filed in the clerk's office and posted on the town's website, www.holmdeltownship.com.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Burkle? Mr. Burkle is absent. Ms. Campus? Ms. Campus is absent. Ms. Gerhardt?
Here.
Mr. Giampolo?
Here.
Mr. Luciani?
Here.
Mr. Fanatopoulos?
Here.
Mr. Hutchinson? And Mr. Fergiulo?
Here. Okay, for tonight's meeting, we will seat both alternates. I guess, Robert, you'll take the spot of the vacant one, and Mark will take the spot of Francine. Okay, with that being said, let's stand for Pledge of Allegiance and then a moment of silence for military, police, and first responders. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item number one, public hearing.
Yep. Item number one is ZBA 2024-4, Holmdel Storage Developers, LLC, Block 58, Lot 25, PMHO.O. Rezone, bulk variance. Applicant seeks the following bulk variance for signage. Third floor signage is proposed where the maximum permitted is the base of the second floor windows. Four signs are proposed on the front where one sign per wall is permitted. 40 square feet per sign with an aggregate area of 10% on the front facade or 100 square feet, whichever is greater.
Okay. All right, well, everything in order, paperwork-wise?
Yes, the notice and as well as order.
Okay, any conflicts with board members and the applicant? No? No conflicts? With anybody on the board?
Oh, I don't know anyone on the board.
Okay. With that being said, proceed.
Thank you. Good evening, Chairman and members of the board. My name is Danielle Kimbach. I'm an attorney at Prime and Tuvell, here on behalf of the applicant Holmdel Storage Developers, LLC. It's application number ZBA 2024-4. The application before you tonight is for bulk variance relief related to building signage. The property that is the subject of the application is located at 2125 Route 35 and is designated as Block 58, Lot 25 on the township's tax map. The property is approximately 5.3 acres and located in the township's TMHO-3 Transitional Mixed-Use Highway-Oriented District. The property previously received preliminary and final major site plan approval, D4 floor area ratio variance, bulk variance, and design waiver relief to construct a 3-story, approximately 79,000 square foot self-storage facility. And the application before you tonight seeks variances for the size and location and number of building mounted signs. As Ms. Gerhardt summarized, the code permits a maximum size of each individual sign of 40 square feet, and we're proposing a sign that is 57.75 square feet. The code permits one side per facade, and we're proposing a total of 4. However, you'll see there's only one sign that identifies the business and the use, and the remaining 3 signs are much smaller and are more directional in nature. As far as the location of the sign with the height on the building, we're seeking a variance to permit the main sign at a height of 27 feet 2 inches and a secondary directional sign for loading at a height of 16 feet 3 inches, where the maximum permitted by the code is 15 feet. With me tonight to provide testimony in support of the application, I have our professional planner, Paul Rickey. Additionally, I want to note that our office did provide public notice that was published in the Asbury Park Press and mailed to all the residents within 200 feet at least 10 days in advance of the hearing. And before we have Mr. Rickey sworn, I just brought, this was introduced at the prior application, but an aerial of the property, just so the board has their bearings when we're discussing it.
So we'll do that A1, we'll mark that as A1.
Thanks.
I don't think anybody, Gene, were you on the original application? So only I was on the original application.
Okay, so we can give a little more background.
Yeah, I would say you should give a little background, what it is, what did we approve for signs, and of course, why do you want to change that?
Sure. I guess I will also mark as A2. This is the site plan sheet from the prior application. So the self-storage use that was previously approved by the board is a permitted use in the zone. During the course of the application, the applicant did revise both the size of the building and the design in response to comments from the board. So, well, we still needed an FAR variance, and we did receive one with that first approval. It was substantially reduced throughout the processing of the application. And additionally, the architecture, I don't have the first elevation that was introduced. I don't know if the chairman wants to say anything, but the board did not like that design, and the applicant put a substantial amount of effort into redesigning the self-storage facility. We think it looks great. There's a lot of detail on the facade.
Well, excuse me.
Yeah.
Being that I was here, I don't want to be your witness. So
Okay.
can you explain what it was and what it became, so the board understands a little bit about the facade?
I can see, so I wasn't part of it, so I'm kind of getting up to speed. From what I recall, it was very flat and industrial looking and square, and it proposed signage both on the front and the side. And if in your packages that you were submitted, I have a few extra copies if people don't have. The elevation we submitted is what was ultimately approved by the board at the second hearing after a redesign, and it added all the elements for the change in vertical design and materials and the 3 peaked gables.
Did the original application address signage?
No, it didn't. Well, it was raised in the original planner's review letter, but at that point, because we had spent so much time redesigning the architectural elements and the front facade, it wasn't finalized. I think it was more conceptual. The planner's review noted they thought the sign was over 40 square feet, but no dimensions were provided, so I just think they weren't available at that time.
So there was some signs put on the building in the beginning, wasn't there?
In the first iteration or the second iteration, which was, the second iteration was the approved design.
I could just jump in a little.
Sure.
I was here at the time also. There's a resolution in your packet.
Oh, you have it?
One of the special conditions was they agreed to comply with the sign ordinance at the time, so we did not approve any signage.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to
And
remember.
they agreed to come back I mean, it was all about the building, moving it away. There was wetlands back there, and there's a neighbor who's concerned about lights, so the applicant and this board entered into a lot of discussion, and they came back with this design that you see actually being built now. So all that was done at a prior, in 2022, I believe. But one of the things that your client did not do at the time was seek sign relief. I think they were just trying to get the building approved. And obviously, if you came with a sign that didn't comply, it was on the record to come back before us, which is why we're here today. So it's really we're at the point where you're ready to open, I guess, or close, and we just need to get these signs approved because you have no signs otherwise.
Right, yes, we have no signs otherwise, and now we have, fine-tuned the sign proposal compared to what was conceptual at the
Did
initial
we put anything
application.
on the street, on any posts or anything like that? So is this the only signs on your whole property, what you're proposing tonight?
Yes, all
There
building
wasn't
has the
any
signs.
streetscape type sign?
No streetscape monument signs.
No monument, nothing like that?
There are, some traffic control stop signs,
Right.
fire zone,
But there's nothing saying what this is anywhere except for what we see tonight?
Correct.
Okay, so everybody understands that.
Yeah, the sign package that was submitted, absent, the traffic control stop signage, that is the proposed signage.
Yeah. So everything she said is pretty much what happened that night. We did spend a lot of time on the facade, and the owner was here at that time, and we made a proposal to make it look like the retirement community or whatever you call it, assisted living right next door. So they came back with what you see. They did a good job with that, and we were all pretty happy with that. They complied with everything that we needed to do to make the building as attractive as possible, and they did so. So like Marty said, they didn't talk about signing. I couldn't remember why we didn't talk about signing, but we didn't.
And they also agreed to reduce the size at that time to the 79 or whatever ultimately was being built. It was over 100,000 square feet originally.
Yeah, the whole
Correct.
building got reduced so that if you look at it, it's kind of like a step, it looks like stairs because they try to comply with the typography, right?
Yep.
Okay? So with that being said, I just want to give the board, because everybody's new here, a little bit of history, and now you could talk to us why you need all these signs. You want to swear them in, Marty?
Yep. So you just want to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so I hope you got it.
I do.
So just state and spell your name for the record.
It's Paul Ricky, R-I-C-C-I.
Mr. Ricky, can you provide your professional and educational background to the board?
Yes, I'm a licensed professional planner. I've been licensed since the year 2000. I'm also a member of the American Institute of Certified Planners, the national certification. I have a master's degree from Rutgers University in city and regional planning, which I received in 1997. I'm currently a municipal planning consultant to 6 towns. I testify regularly in front of boards. I've been qualified in over 250 communities. I don't think I've ever testified here. I used to work for your planner's firm, and I did cover several meetings for Paul Phillips.
You look
years
familiar to me,
years
too.
ago.
You look
But it's
familiar.
been a number of years. That would have been
Okay.
over 14, 15 years ago. So
Okay.
I live in Middletown currently, so I'm familiar with the site in this area. I drive by this roadway almost on a daily basis. So.
Okay.
I wasn't a planner on the last application, so just to be clear.
Do we want to accept this applicant? Okay.
Just for the record, our planner issued
I was
a
gonna say
planner
that.
review letter. She has COVID, though, so she's not physically here, but she's watching, so we can say hi to her if we want. But if we need any questions, she will call in to answer those questions to the board, but it's probably, we probably will not have any questions.
Right. So I have her number here, and we'd call her in. Okay, go ahead.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I mean, some of the information you provided was educational to me as well. We did hand out, we have, I guess, a couple submittals, right? We have what was submitted as part of this application, and then the aerial, if I can just briefly, I think you call that A1. We have our site outlined in the blue turquoise color. Does everyone have that handy? Again, the site is 5.3 acres. It's on the northbound side of Route 35. In this case, it's really the roadway moves east-west. If you see to the right, the C1 zone, on the corner there, that's where pretty much the cold zone ice cream place is, and you have LA Fitness and all, Texas Roadhouse and all those other shopping center uses. And the like, so everyone is oriented. And then where you see the right past the site moving in the westerly direction, that's the senior site that you're referring to. That's currently under construction at this time. Clearly, the aerials don't reflect that work in progress. And then, as part of our submittal that was given to the board, does everyone have a copy of that with them tonight, or no? I hope so.
Yes.
Okay, okay, and it's on page 1. It says extra space storage. It's made by the sign company. So, moving to page 2, It shows the building. It's approximately 20,000 square foot footprint. It's approved, I think, around approximately in total square footage is just under 80,000, 79,400 square feet of self-storage space. And I do agree, for a self-storage facility, I've testified for several over the years. This is probably the nicest one that I've personally seen. It took clues from the neighborhood as well. Like, you think about Dearborn Farms and the like, and the type of architecture in the area. So I thought it was very nicely designed when I first looked at the facility. When you see on the map here, you see the letters B, A, C2, and C1. Okay. Where A is located, that is meant to show you where the extra space storage sign is proposed. That's the 57.75 square feet. And then sign B, it would say office, and that's under 5 square feet. I have it at 4.8 square feet. And then C1 and C2, that's where it says loading, and those are just under 5 square feet as well. I have them at 4.95 square feet. When you take the 59.5 inches and you convert that, so the three.
So do you have the aggregate area of all the signs?
Yes,
proposed?
the aggregate area of all the signs, well, I should have that more. Yeah, it's, I don't want to give the wrong number, it's 72.5 feet. So the applicant is seeking a variance to have 4 signs. 2 are permitted on site in totality. One could be a wall sign, one could be a freestanding monument sign. A maximum of 100 square footage is envisioned in the ordinance, delivered in its total, whether that's associated, a combination of a freestanding sign and building mounted signage. And I'm going to talk about some details, but your ordinance says 10% of a building facade or 100 square feet as a maximum, and you're going to hear some testimony from me that at 10% of a building, this site would allow like over 600 square feet of signage. So in terms of a percentage of the building facade that's being proposed, and as just in terms of proportionality of the signage, the amount of square footage of signage to building area is very small as part of this application. I'll provide some more details, but those 3 smaller signs are under 15 square feet in total area. And those signs, they don't advertise the business, they're just advertising loading in office. They're directional in nature, and in my opinion, they help encourage better organization and flow of the site, so people know where to go. They're coming in with trucks, they know where to load, where the office is, and it's more for a wayfinding type purposes, and there's no advertising aspect of the use itself associated with those signs. In terms of the variance relief, I'm not going to repeat the variances. I think we've said those twice now at this point, but we're seeking them under the flexible C2 criteria, where we can show this application advances a purpose of the municipal land use law, and they can be granted without a substantial detriment to the public good, namely the surrounding property owners, or without a substantial intent of your zone plan. And I think, as the board recognizes, we can demonstrate that this results in improved zoning, where the benefits of the application is greater than the detriments, then we meet the burden for this type of variance relief. And I kind of jumped into somewhat about my testimony in terms of the number of signs. These are, again, they're wayfinding signs. They're very minuscule in area, under 15 total square feet. And again, they don't advertise the business. And again, I believe they promote the general welfare of the community by increasing the organizational aspects, the operational aspects of this site. In my opinion, if there is a major variance here, it's associated with the size of the building mounted sign. That is proposed at 57.75 square feet, where a maximum of 40 square feet is permitted. As I previously mentioned, that your ordinance anticipates up to 10% of the facade area could be signage, but a maximum of 100 square feet. So the first finding is that this application overall is under the total allowable amount of signage for the site. It's being delivered in a total of more than one or two signs, the 77.75 square feet proposed versus 100 square feet permitted, and one of the signs here is larger than permissible by ordinance, being over 40 square feet. This building is approximately 225 feet wide. It's approaching close to 40 feet in height, so it's not a small building. The aggregate area of all the signs, that's including at the 57.75 square feet and the 72.5 square feet total, represents less than 1% of the total building facade. And here, it's my opinion, what dictates the need for the larger sign is the lettering height that's being proposed. And that lettering height, as you saw in the details provided to you, it's identified as 28 inches, but some of the smaller lowercase letters are as small as 20 inches. And that lettering height is needed to be visible on a state highway where someone's traveling at a minimum of 50 miles an hour after a turn in the bend of Route 35, and right after where that merger occurs on 35, where 3 lanes are turning down to 2 lanes. So the self-storage facility, if you drove it recently, that comes on you pretty quick while driving down the roadway. My planning finding generally around the signage is that the proposed signage is proportional to the building in which is placed, will not result in a substantial detriment to the character of the area. I'll give some additional numbers on that in a moment, and it will help identify a building that is set back 104 feet from the right-of-way and has no freestanding sign on Route 35. And again, I mentioned that merge that's occurring from 3 lanes to 2, and on the bend in the roadway. This all helps to increase the visibility of that sign. Regarding the mounting height, if you look at the architecture of the building, which is very tastefully designed, but somewhat as a result of that design, there's very few areas where signage could be placed where number one, it will be visible from the traveling public, and number two, there's a place that it would naturally fit on the facade, that it would be placed in a manner that, for lack of a better word, looks good. Here, the sign is placed the furthest away from the bend, so you have the most time to view that sign. And also, we do have another exhibit, and the chairman may recall that there's close to approximately 50 feet of buffering along the frontage of the highway that has significant amount of landscaping. In that landscaping area, there are trees that are being planted at 6 feet, and there's deciduous trees that are being planted at a caliber of 3 inches, dogwoods and the like, that are going to grow 20 plus feet when they're mature. So there's also a need to have signage that's taller, so there's visibility of the signage from the roadway as well. And that's the major reason why the applicant isn't seeking for that increase in height. It's also higher up. Also, that signage would be over trucks and other elements that are traveling on the roadway as well. I mean, I did look at your master plan. I believe that this application advances several purposes of your master plan, stated from your 2004 master plan that was re-examined in 2010 and 2020, and I'll list a few of the goals. Protect the unique character of Holmdel, which consists of desirable residential neighborhoods, attractive commercial areas, and business campuses. Provide for future land uses and development at suitable locations and appropriate intensities with respect to existing land use patterns, the location and capacity of roads and infrastructure, and it goes on about the presence of scenic historic resources. This is not a scenic resource, but it's clear that the town is concerned about design when you read the master plan, and having a favorable image throughout the community. Seek stable, high-quality ratables that also reflect favorable upon the image and identity of the township. facilitate a positive business climate in Holmdel, and provide opportunities for non-residential development and local employment where appropriate, enhance the overall appearance of the township's commercial corridors, and encourage a high standard of visual quality, architectural design, landscaping, and maintenance for all development. We believe that we advance these purposes of the master plan. And for all these reasons, we meet several purposes of the municipal land use law. We meet purpose A, those additional signs in terms of the operational improvements to the site, promote the general welfare. Purpose G provides sufficient space and appropriate locations to meet the needs of commercial users. And I, overall, when we look at the site, when you look at the variances, you look at the overall benefit of the application, not just the variances that we're seeking tonight. And clearly, the visual quality of this type of application results in purpose I, to promote a desirable visual environment through creative development techniques and good civic design and arrangements. I believe that the variances can be granted without the keyword being a substantial detriment to the public good, without substantially impair the intent and purpose of your zone plan. Again, these signs are facing towards a state highway. There are no residential properties nearby. On the back end of the property, you may recall that it's largely constrained lands. It adjoins wetlands transition area and the like. So it's well removed from adjoining properties. The size and dimensions of the sign are, in my opinion, are done in a manner that's aesthetically pleasing and proportional to the building. They are not distracting to the motoring public. I don't believe they result in an unfair competitive advantage over neighboring signs, and I do not believe they would result in a substantial detriment to the character of the area. There are billboards proximate to the site. I did scale the LA Fitness sign next door. That sign's approximately 92 square feet in area with 37-inch letters on a building that's approximately 200 feet wide. Our building's 225 feet wide, and that building's about 30 to 31 feet in height. And just, I based that on measuring the width of the door, taking a picture of it, placing that picture to scale. So it's a very good estimate. It's not an exact size, but it demonstrates that that sign is well over that 40 square foot number. And the Dollar Tree sign, also in the shopping center, is 65 square feet approximately, with 60-inch lettering height, because there's two words. I didn't take the Texas Roadhouse sign. I would suspect that would be larger than 40 square feet as well, and some of the others. But I just wanted, it's not saying like they have it, we want it. It's just from a technical standpoint to say, hey, this is not out of character with the area. It will not result in a substantial detriment to the character, and that's why I mention it. The purpose of the TMHO3 district is to provide for a mix of uses, as well as a scale of development that is compatible with adjacent residential neighborhoods and limits traffic generation. This use is, from a commercial land use standpoint, is largely considered passive. Once these facilities are filled, they create very little traffic. And it goes on to indicate that the district is designed to provide greater flexibility for less intensive highway-oriented uses along the Route 35 corridor, and to provide appropriate transitions between retail, office, and other uses. So I think this application as a whole advances the intent and purpose of this zone district. Again, we're in a highway corridor where identification of signage is paramount, and this is a difficult location as I identified already. So on balance, I think the benefits of the deviations substantially outweigh the detriments, and I believe this results in improved zoning for this specific piece of property.
Okay. I'll be first with questions. Can you testify as to the construction of the sign? Can you testify about the lining of the sign? And can you testify why those colors were selected for each of those locations?
I'm not the vendor, the sign vendor, but it's my understanding that that's part of their national logo and identification, correct? And that's their color
Yes.
palette that this company has identified. I did notice, by way of example, next door Hobby Lobby has orange coloring on their signs. Marshalls has a
So
blue
it's your
sign.
logo, basically.
So it's their logo, yeah, similar to
Okay.
how next door has that in the shopping center next door.
Okay, so sign that says office is in black. Sign that says loading, and there's two of them, is in white, I presume. Any reason why you have white and black signs?
That I do not know. I believe that's less of an important issue because that's not part of their logo and programming for the applicant.
I'm just curious. And why are there two loading signs?
Because one is for the loading door and one is for the area, I think, where individuals enter the building. So one is the loading door that comes up and the other is the building entrance for.
And they're both the same size?
Yes.
We have two handouts. Which one is accurate?
If I could take a closer look, I can see where they came from.
Because one is dated the 24th of April
Yes.
and one is dated the 26th. This seems to be from your sign vendor.
That's from the sign vendor, we'll call that part of the sign package.
Okay.
The other plan that was submitted, the caption says Frank Relf Architect. This was the architectural elevation that was presented in 2022, when the application was approved. So this is the conceptual signage that was shown to the board in the site plan and variance approval. There were comments from the board planner, the dimensions weren't known, so we are not proposing that second sign that says extra space storage in the middle gable. That's completely removed. Thank you.
Thank you.
So in other words, you don't know why they used one color for an office and another color for loading?
Between the white and black, I do not know.
Looking at the, what page is this? In the sign package. The third page of the sign package. The white office is on a kind of dark background, and then the darker loading signs are on a lighter background.
So C2, is that on where those windows are? Is that where C2 would be? Because, I see C1 on top of the garage doors, that's obvious. I don't understand where C2 is.
It's here.
Between the windows.
It's over that.
It's between the two windows?
No, it's over the access door.
You're looking at C1.
There's two, there's C2 and C1.
This has a line that goes to there and there's a circle around it. C1 has a very faint green line that goes over to the circle around the second sign. Okay?
Okay,
It's just where they put the Cs don't match.
Yeah.
They're not on top of the sign.
yeah,
C1 is on top of where the C2 sign is.
okay.
Yeah, the leader line is very thin from the bubble to the actual sign.
So it's really over by the gable in that little light green circle.
Yes, correct.
Okay, that's a big mistake.
The word storage on the extra page, it is white, not, I'm getting confused between the black lettering on the cover sheet and then white on the actual.
Yeah, the cover sheet, that's not a signage. You couldn't put white text on the.
If you go to page 4, there's the detail of that, where it shows green and then so yes.
Any other questions from board members? Nope.
I'm fine, thank you.
Gene?
I'm just wondering, you do this and is this done in other places as well? I look at extra space, I can readily see storage seems to be disappearing suddenly when I look at it. Is that you do in your other location?
Yeah, that's what we do. That's the colors for the logo.
So in other words, that's not only the colors, that's also the shape, sizes of the logo signs. Right? The extra space storage, because the letters change for the word storage, like Gene said, compared to extra space.
Yeah, it's a different color.
Well, not even the color, the thickness of it.
Sizing.
I think that's what you mean, right, Gene? They're bolder.
I really was looking at the, you know, one that could really, you can see extra space is gonna be right there, it's gonna play right out it because of the color. Storage, at least in this diagram, seems to disappear.
It's on gray though, right? This is gray.
Yeah, just when it's a
It's gonna be white letters with
Yeah.
a faint black outline.
Yeah.
And there's a detail on page 4 that shows the green letters for extra space and white letters for storage, but of course the white will have a faint black outline, and there's a detail. The section details here.
Mr. Luciani, it appears that that white lettering would be on a dark gray background, so while on the elevation, it doesn't really show very well. I agree with you 100%. If that's a full white sign on dark gray, there's going to be visibility.
Any other questions? You didn't talk a little bit about lighting.
I'm not the sign vendor, and I'm probably not qualified to understand the amount of wattage that comes from these signs. I'm not sure if I can offer this, but, I mean, the applicant, you know, is looking for their logo in this size for visibility. But this is gonna face a highway. I'm sure that, if you agree with the size and the like, that the applicant can agree to a condition that they can just work with your board engineer.
I'm
to
not worried
ensure-
about the brightness as
Yeah.
much as how it's gonna be lit. Is it from the back? Is it from a spotlight
Oh,
aiming
no,
at
this
it?
is internally illuminated, like what I call a channel lettered, individual lettered. It's inside the sign. There's no up or down lighting. It's internally
Right, so
illuminated, individual letters.
So the letters are just gonna be illuminated. There's nothing that's gonna be bouncing off from the spotlight or anything. Okay,
Correct.
that's what I meant.
Okay.
Any other
And
questions?
the sign stays lit the whole time.
sun up to sundown, just when it's dark.
Okay.
All
All right.
Sundown to sunup.
And they say they're gonna go off, just for the record.
The lights will be on sundown to sunup.
Oh, okay.
So, but you'll see the color of the sign during the day, right?
Yes.
Now, will your sign person work with our, who would that be? The engineer, I guess, right?
Yeah, they do, the board professional.
If there's any questions about the lums of the light?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
I think
it's intensity.
There was some detail provided in the sign package. I don't know much about electric with volts
None of
and
us are
kilovolts.
experts here on all of that, so if you're okay, we can make that a special condition. that
Yeah,
they just,
we can agree.
we can agree to that, put it on there?
And the sun up to sundown.
Sundown to sunup, yes.
We'll make that'll be a condition.
That'll be a special condition also. Does anybody else have anything else? Otherwise, I'll open it up for public comment. And being that I don't see any public out there, there's not gonna be any comments, so we'll close public portion. Any last minute questions? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion from somebody. Go ahead, Gene.
No, let's decide what we're gonna agree on.
Motion.
That's why I asked for a motion. Unless you want a further discussion about this.
I would move to
I would
approve
move to approve the 4 signs
laid
as
out.
laid out with the restriction that if there is
The two conditions.
two conditions. One, if there's an luminosity problem, you work with the town engineer.
But the
But
second,
the second condition, just to qualify, it's sundown to sunup, so it's gonna be lit overnight. It's just gonna stay lit. So I don't know that that's really the
Make
condition.
this
I
a
think
need,
it's
yeah.
gonna,
I
that's,
gotcha.
it's just gonna stay on the whole
we're
time.
not limiting.
We're not limiting when.
Well, it's gonna be off during the day, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So what if it's a cloudy day or something, or a darker day, still gonna be off? It says it working with a sensor that determines how much light is there?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that is a good question. I don't know.
Okay, so
about
work
the
with our
sensor.
engineer on that.
We'll work with the engineer on
I
that.
think that's why,
We should remove that.
That part
That
should
doesn't
be-
need to be a
Okay.
condition.
because I'm concerned it is gonna go on darker days or.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I
let's not make
appreciate
it a
that.
limit to that.
Okay.
And I think the facility's open to the, right, is it open, what are the hours it's open to?
I don't
anybody
remember.
who's storing?
I believe they can access it from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Yeah, I can't remember if there was a condition there.
It probably was.
Yeah, 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. is one of the.
Yeah, those are typical self-storage hours.
Okay, so continue.
I would move to approve the signs conditioned on the, if there is an issue with the luminosity, that the engineer work with your team.
Okay.
And it would be all 4 signs, I'm moving all of them,
Right.
unless somebody wants to break it down.
No, all 4 together.
Question, before you're required that if there's a luminosity issue, they have to work with the town's engineer, does that mean they need the approval of the town's engineer, or?
Yeah, they'll have to, they probably already have this package, but if it's not listed in here, before you get resolution compliance sign-off from Courtney, she'll have to get sign-off from our professionals, and if they haven't approved that one condition, they have to approve
Just
that
our
one
engineer,
condition.
just the engineer, not
Probably
both.
just the engineer.
Well, Kate addresses lighting, but she specifically addressed the issue is if it was lit externally,
Right.
which you're saying it isn't.
That's why I asked that
Correct.
question.
Yeah.
That's why I asked that question.
Right, there's no external illumination on the sign. But if your board engineer has not reviewed the details or needs more information, he can review it and we can provide anything needed.
And so to finish answering that question, before Courtney signs off on compliance, she'll call Bob, she'll have to call Bob and say, there's a special condition, have you signed off on the intensity?
So by work, who need to get, they need to get approval.
Right, and his decision's final, so if he doesn't, if he says it's too intense on our ordinance, he'll be going back to your sign people, toning it down. Or they'll have to come for relief if it violates our ordinance.
You're okay with that?
Yes. Yes, we can agree.
Okay. So can we have a second for Laura's motion? Jean seconds it. Okay. Roll call, please.
Ms. Gerhart?
Yes.
Mr. Giampolo?
Yes.
Mr. Luciani?
Yes.
Mr. Ofanatopoulos?
Yes.
Mr. Hutchinson?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Friola?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, you guys
Thank
are
you.
all set. Have a good evening.
You too, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Didn't get a report from him, so I assume he okay. I just wanted to make sure that.
Okay. We'll go quick. We got 2 things left on this, memorialization of 2 items. So item number 2 first.
All right, item number 2. Memorializing resolution ZA2024-2, Anthony Loshavo, 75 Stillwell Road, Block 10, Lot 15.03, R40-A zone, bulk variance, applicant granted bulk variance for construct a 1,116 square one-car garage / pool cabana combo accessory structure with a height of 22 feet 4 inches and within side yard setback.
Thank you. Marty, you want to talk a
Yeah, there
little bit
was
about it?
obviously no professionals or anything, so he just had a couple of special conditions, as you see in there. I don't have, Mike, how do you have a copy of this? This has the 4, he has 4 special conditions, quickly summarizing them. Recall, he had to relocate, he was gonna move the whole structure over 5 feet toward the pool, so instead of 15 feet off the sideline, it'd be 20, 25 is required. He was gonna agree to do screening on the side of the neighboring property at the direction of the zoning officer. He was going to do a deed restriction, so there's no living quarters in the structure, and he was gonna submit an as-built. And he agreed to all those.
So did everybody get a chance to look at it and find that if there was any issues, let Marty know?
So the only people who can vote are Lori, Dimitri, and Mark.
Okay. So it should be simple. Can I have a motion from somebody?
I will move to grant this memorial resolution granting them the bulk variance.
Second?
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Yes.
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 Mr. Pergiola.
Yes.
Item number 3.
Another memorializing resolution, ZBA 2024-3, Bahandra and Surani Churaman, 6 Jennifer Drive, Block 30.01, Lot 10, R 40-A zone, both variants, applicant granted both variants relief to construct a 45 square foot pool cabana, accessory structure with a 14-foot side yard setback where 25 feet is required.
Marty?
Again, they agreed, there's 2 special conditions, they agreed to move that pool, the outdoor pool, the outdoor shower, to one of the 3 sides that wasn't on the neighbor's property line. So instead of being 14 feet off the line, now the structure is 19, because that's the rest of the structure. And they agreed to submit it as built upon completion.
Okay. Board members, any issues? Who can vote on this one? Okay, can we have another motion?
I will
I will move to approve both variants as memorialized in the resolution.
Second?
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Gerhart?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Fanatopoulos?
Yes.
Mr. Pergiola?
Yes.
Okay, any professional report from Marty on anything? Any legal issues to update us on anything? Okay. Courtney, do you want to tell us anything about future agenda?
Well, we have 2 coming up for July 17th as of right now, and that would be a appeal to the ZB 2023-12 Muhammad Charter. That's an appeal to the zoning officer's letter. It wasn't really a permit. It was,
Right.
it was kind of. And then the ZBA 2023-10 annual management. I don't know if you guys have all those documents yet, but and then that's for medical buildings on Red Hill
Right.
Road, 125, 127 Red Hill.
Across from, that's across
From Sloan, on the other side of the parkway. When you get off on the Parkway 114, it's on the right side, hugs the parkway.
And then ZBA 2024-1, 46 Main Street LLC. That is the gas station in on Main Street. They want to do diesel.
When they were originally didn't have that on.
There's a condition they can't.
They
It's
can't.
part of the hearing, at least.
Yes, and I don't think anybody was here for that one except for me too. Okay.
There's a specific condition in their resolution saying that.
Well, we're not going to talk about it tonight. That's what I said. Okay, so thank you very much for that update. If anybody's not going to be here for any of those 2 meetings, please contact Courtney so she knows ahead of time. Jason had an issue that he couldn't make it tonight. He texted me, so that's why he's not here. But with that being said, can we have a motion to close?
I would move
We close the meeting.
Second it. Okay, meeting adjourned.